At this point, I don't think anyone is surprised that this video is not on a Wednesday. What is up, creatives? This is Tom. Welcome back to another Budget Wednesday. If you don't know, this is the show where we go through a budget piece of video gear, a video tip or photography tip that's going to level up your production without costing a ton of money. If you're interested in this series, hit the subscribe button down below and also link the rest of the Budget Wednesday playlist down below in the description as well if you're interested. Today, what we're going to talk about is 5, or actually I think I might throw in a bonus one, so 6 tips that are going to improve your videography, like camera or video hacks that are actually useful. Like, we've all seen these tips that go around the internet of like using a sieve or a colander to like burst light through, and don't get me wrong, some of those can be quite cool, but these are purely useful things that are going to make a difference in your filmmaking or your videography, and all of them pretty much exclusively are not going to cost you anything. You probably have the things already. We're going to go right in at the top. This is probably one of my favorite tips of all time, and it is the tripod gimbal. Now, a simple lesson in physics means that if you have a light camera, you are going to get a lot of camera movement. That is why simply adding weight to your camera setup is a really good way to eliminate camera shake. However, sometimes it's just not possible to add loads of weight to your camera, so use your tripod. You can mount your camera and your on top of your tripod and then simply bring up a couple of the legs. You might even have a feature on your tripod to be able to like move the legs around and help try and balance the system, but it means that by adding this extra weight, you can actually use your camera and your tripod as a makeshift gimbal, or I guess a makeshift sort of steady cam is more a better way of putting it, because a gimbal is sort of motorized. But what you're able to do is actually get really good camera moves, or much better camera moves than you would have been able to achieve using just your camera on its own. Moving your camera around without any form of stabilization is a skill in itself, and this is a really useful tip I use countless times when you don't have access to a stabilizer or a gimbal, and it's just something which can add an extra level of production to your videos. Next one, and this is a popular one that I've seen around on the internet for quite some time, but that is because it just works, and this is neck strap stabilization. If you just have a sort of normal DSLR mirrorless camera, whack a neck strap on your camera, use it as an extra point of contact in terms of your this strap on the back of your neck. If you are filming static shots or even walking shots, this is going to make a massive difference. This is not a gimmicky trick. It really will improve the quality of your footage just by adding that extra point of contact and moving around like this. Again, you're not going to be using this an awful lot when you're actually moving or walking around. It will help the camera shake for sure, but this, for me at least, is like super useful when I've like shot like travel videos, because you're able to just sort of pan around and do movements like this and get them super nice and smooth. All right, tip number 3, this is turn off your light. Work with a completely neutral and completely blank lighting canvas. I actually did this in my last video. I turned off the lights in my entire studio, and I just lit this camera rig using one light. This was the light that I'm using right now, my sort of normal key light. You can even use something like an iPhone flash to be able to light a scene. Bring your camera settings right down. It means that the background, because there's no light shining on the background, will go nice and dark, and your foreground, your element, will shine out bright. This is again a really good use of creative lighting to bring focus to your project. And again, this is something really cool that can be done just like in your bedroom. It's really good to practice with light like this. Go from a completely neutral, completely dark environment and then light your way up. Alright, so you might be wondering why I'm walking around with some SSDs. These are called solid state drives, and that's because this tip is not necessarily a camera hack, but it is a just sort of workflow. Anyone that works with a camera, I recommend using this workflow. So I edit my projects directly off an SSD. So once I have brought my footage, back home, or my photos back home, I'll stick them straight from my SD card straight onto these drives. SSD storage has now got much more affordable. These are both 500 gigabyte drives. I'll link a couple down below in the description. These are both under $100, or around about the $100 mark at least. Editing off a solid state drive is going to save you hours. You might want to keep things on here permanently, probably move them to an external slower hard drive after that. But your working files, it is a massive camera hack, massive workflow hack to work off solid state drives whilst you're working on a project. And once you're done, you can move it over to other storage. All right, next up we have the reverse focus pull. Now this is a technique which I use time and time again. Pretty much every video I work on, if it involves any type of sort of slow motion or camera moves, I will use this technique. This is called a reverse focus pull, or really it's just reversing your focus pushes and your movements in and out. By taking a clip in one direction and then reversing it in post, you are basically just able to control that camera move so much more, because you're pushing in from a certain point and stopping. Doing that would be incredibly difficult sometimes. So what you want to do is start on the thing that you want to have in focus and then actually move back and just reverse that in post. Things will be a lot easier, and you won't sort of push past your subject and have things look totally out of focus and just a mess. And then the last technique I want to talk about is called filling your frame. Now, there's absolutely nothing revolutionary about this tip, this hack, but it is a tip and technique that if you haven't thought about it, this will make a massive difference to your photography particularly, but also your videography. So I want to talk about filling your frame. Now, this is the idea that you only need to fill your frame with a photo or a video for whatever is in your shot. I actually did a recent shoot for a client using a photo board. So that is an idea of getting a piece of material, piece of card or paper, generally these are, and those are printed high resolution photography boards. You can get, for instance, a marble photography board and have that as your frame, and it will, for all intents and purposes, look like you have a perfect marble, beautiful marble backdrop for your photo. Little does everyone know that actually that's just a printed board. Fill your frame, think about what only matters in the frame and what you want your subject to look like after you've shot it. Hopefully you guys have found this video interesting. Maybe you got one or two pieces of information that you're going to be able to take and move forward into your own production. If you do have any questions about this video, just drop one in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you guys next time.